Everyone, hey, congratulations on this new film, The Man in My Basement.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
As an interviewer, I have to, advance watch this before your premiere. And then I was like watching the film, and this is such a discussion type of movie. And I turned to nobody. I was like going, gosh, I wanted to talk to somebody, and I get to talk to you first about the film. So, Nadia, let me throw the first question to you. What themes from Walter's book that you really want to, push to the forefront into the adaptation?
I think the thing that most interested me about Walter's book was the notion of like who owns history, who gets to tell it, and what value it has. Do you know what I mean? Like in Charles finding the kind of masks in his family's kind of possessions could signify like a huge change for him, or not, because does history help you feed yourself? And that's all there in Walter's novel, and I sort of felt like that was the thing that I wanted to expand and sort of go like, who, we can talk about the kind of ideas within the film, but actually how do those physically manifest in this person? Like, how does that affect his day to day? And it's dark and it's wicked and it's funny and like all of those things. But and you also have to find yourself in it. And I think the thing that really appealed to me in a weird way is that Charles is somebody who has lost, his parents. He's the last person in his family. Like, I'm actually from a very large family. My parents are alive and well, but that gap between me and Charles, that was the thing I was fascinated in, of going like, what would it be like to be the opposite to me? Like the lone, he used to say he's like the loneliest black man in the universe. And so, that's always, I think, a bit like actors where you're like, what is the challenge? I'm like, there is an empathy challenge for me to understand Charles. I cannot imagine. I wish I've got some spare siblings. I could get rid of a few. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what would it be to not be that? To be an only child? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? At the time, I was talking a lot to friends of mine who were only children as well, being like, what's that like growing up, not having somebody automatically to play with or show your bedroom? You know what I mean? Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff in that where I was like trying to get under the psychology of Charles, even beyond what was in the novel. So yeah.
Absolutely. Corey, Anna, what initially drew you to this aspect of the story, especially you probably read the script before the novel or vice versa.
Yeah, I read the script first, and then I read the novel, and I was I play narcissist, but I was really drawn to Charles because I know people like him. I've known people like him. I've also been, had times in life where I felt very stuck, and just kind of the exploration of this young man that's so alone and so stuck and so tortured and can't seem to help himself or even know how to help himself get out of the space he's in. I'm always drawn to those kind of character arcs and stories and adventures.
And I read the novel when I was in high school, and then and was sort of drawn to the community and a story about a community that felt like where I grew up in Washington, D.C. I mean, different city, but very much black working professionals, middle class, lower middle, upper lower middle class, and Sag Harbor, and that community, Nineveh Sands, Azarest, and the resilience of that, first and foremost, and then again, like I don't understand, it's like that wrestling with the character that feels stuck in a rut, and doesn't necessarily have a rudder, and trying to make that active and give that person humanity, the humanity that person deserves, because that person, is out there. And then, just the joy of being able to read this adaptation and seeing like the possibilities and like the sort of runway that Nadia gave us. It was just thrilling to be able to, step in those shoes and put these bodies on film and let them kind of manifest in a way that they don't normally manifest in other movies. Like sitting with that stillness and the landscape and the cinematic language that they're playing with can be very uncomfortable and also really rewarding when you stick with it. So it was a joy. Yeah.
Most excellent. And real fast, but because I'm almost out of time, watching Willem perform, inside that cage, what kind of master class what surprised you the most about his performance?
Oh, I think it felt delightfully kinky to take one of the world's like most famously physical actors and ask him to inhabit stillness. And actually, I was always excited by how little he would do. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's like, what is the absolute bare minimum? Almost as though the character is conserving energy. Do you know what I mean? Like, because he's doing this deep introspection, but also how much Willem between takes. Snaps back being like, what is the job? Like, what is the work? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you need me to change? Is lighting, am I good? He's always very mindful of how he's operating with every other department. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
Also, him and the props department was so intimate. There's like a scene where Corey has to like burn these letters that Willem's written, and he was like, well, obviously I should write them. Yeah. And we were like, okay, but we need like 10 copies. And he was like, yeah. And just sat there writing, like, I'll make the props. And I was like, good man, thank you.
Yeah.
That's very
it's
good.
incredibly helpful and also very collaborative in that way. It's like, not everybody does that work, and not everybody can separate that's the beautiful part about, it's called acting, darling. It's like, it's like to be able to turn it on and do the work, right? That's technique, and that's that other 2% that you can't quantify, that magic. And then to be able to turn it off, or if it ever goes off, right, to be able to separate that and do the other work of like, what do you need from me? What do you need from me? What do you need from me? Versus, this is what I need from you. This is what I need from you. So that was lovely to be able to collaborate on that level. And I'm sure he learned so much from me.
Yeah.
From
We taught him everything.
We taught him
he knows.
everything he knows. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, thank you very much for speaking to me about The Man in My Basement. I feel like I need an hour to really delve into the story, but thank you very much and enjoy
Thank
Toronto.
you very much.